Hey guys, Preacher 357 here. I'm out here in the shop and I thought I might just do a little bit of talking today. I actually planned on doing a gun video and realized that my range is so overgrown that I can't even do that. I'm going to have to do some trimming on the trees and get things back in shape before I'll be able to do that. So I thought, well, I'll just do some talking instead and do a little bit of a channel update. Because if you follow the channel, you'll notice I didn't put any content up for about 3 months until about a little over a week ago. I put up a video on the Ruger Red Hawk 44 Magnum, and the thing is, I filmed that video about 3 months ago, and so I had not done anything in 3 months. Didn't edit that video, hadn't bought any more guns. Haven't really even been out here to the shop other than just to come in real quick to grab a tool or something that I needed. I basically just put the channel on hold and even put my hobby of shooting and firearms on hold for about 3 months. And just something I had to do. And just to give you the rundown on it, a little bit of health issues kind of surfaced earlier this year. Wasn't feeling very good, for one, and probably noticed if you follow the channel for a while that I'd gained a little bit, a whole lot of weight over the past few years, and there were reasons for that. Some of it's just me not watching what I'm eating as well as I should have, but I've got a hereditary generalized anxiety disorder that apparently as you get older it gets worse, and so I went on some medication a few years ago for that, and right after I went on medication my weight started to go up, and which kind of makes sense because I was always so hyper before, which is what the anxiety actually did for me most of my life. It just made me really hyper, where I was always wanting to do something all the time and I never wanted to sleep, and so I had a lot of hobbies because I had a lot of time because I wasn't going to bed. And apparently after you get into your 50s, that's harder to do. And I basically got to the end of my rope. I hit a wall, and something had to be done. So, went on the medication, which calmed me down a lot, which also meant that I was burning a lot less calories, I'm sure. There's no telling how much energy I was using up, just in nervous behaviors, just moving around, never sitting still. So, my weight had gotten up, I started feeling bad, didn't have a lot of energy, and going through a somewhat stressful period at work there for a little bit as well, but my blood sugar had gotten a little bit out of hand, and I was diagnosed back in 1st of April, I guess it was, with type 2 diabetes. And it had been a little high before, and I'd gotten it back under control, but this time I couldn't get it back under control, and I had to go on medication for that. And then as I went to the urologist, actually, just for a checkup there, they did an ultrasound, and they actually scanned part of my heart as part of that ultrasound and found calcification in my heart. So I ended up having to go to the cardiologist as well and go through all of that. And so the channel just kind of got put, to the side for a while because I just really didn't feel good. I was wore out. I was burned out as well. The channel, I've enjoyed it. I love shooting guns. I love talking about guns. I love making the videos. But at the same time, there's some stress involved with it. You're trying to build a channel, and there's this fear if you don't get the content out, if you don't get the guns in and get the content and make something that people are going to like, that your channel's going to die off and all your work's going to be for nothing. And so there is that stress that's involved with that as well, even though it's not the kind of stress that some of the content creators have, where they're making their living off of it, and so they're really dependent upon YouTube. I'm not. But there's still a stress there. A desire to build and to grow and not to go backwards after all the work you put into it. And, that takes a toll on you as well. You get burned out on it eventually. After, 3.5 going on 4 years, of doing it just seemed like nonstop. Even when I wasn't able to put the content out as quickly as I'd like, that was stressful for me as well. And it was because I had other things going on. As I've said many times, YouTube is essentially a third job for me. So I tend to stay fairly busy, and there just came a point where I needed to not be so busy. I needed to relax a little bit. And, I don't depend on the channel for money. So obviously, it had to go on the chopping block rather than my regular job, my 9 to 5, I guess you could say, though it's a lot longer than 9 to 5 usually. And obviously preaching is something that I'm passionate about, that I'm not going to give up for anything either. So the channel really was the only thing that I could sacrifice for a while. And so that's what I did. I love shooting guns and I love making videos, but it got to the point also where I couldn't enjoy shooting guns and making videos as much as I would like to, because I was so concentrated on making videos. And it got to be where it was a job rather than just a hobby. And sometimes when things become a job, they're less fun than they were. And I just got burned out, as I've said, with the health issues as well. So, I put it to the side. I started focusing on some other things instead, some health-related things. And I'm glad to say that I'm in a much better position now than I was, 3-4 months ago. In much better health now than I was 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm ready to start, making content again. Now, I don't know how prolific I'm going to be in putting out content. I don't think I'm going to be putting out something twice a week or even probably every week. But I'm going to try to do at least a couple a month if I can. The other issue, obviously, is this channel costs a lot of money, and I've spent a lot of money over the last 3.5-4 years doing this. And there comes a point where, the finances say you got to slow down a little bit as well. Because as much as I'd hope that the channel would eventually be able to pay for itself, it's nowhere near that now. I spend about 10 times what I make. So, it's a labor of love, I guess you could say, but it's not a lucrative labor of love. So I'm going to continue with the channel. Now that I'm feeling much, much better. You may not be able to tell in this video, but I've actually lost over 50 pounds in the last 3-4 months. And that's helped out a lot. And I'm off of all of the medications except one. I'm still taking the anxiety medicine at this time, but I'm hoping to be off of that maybe even as well. But at this time, I'm still taking it. But I'm off the diabetes medication. My blood sugar is absolutely perfect. I mean, it's lower than it's been in a long, long time. And my blood pressure is down, so I'm off blood pressure medicine. All the things I was taking, I've been able to come off of, and I feel really good now. And the reason for that is I went on what's known as the Carnivore Diet. And I know a lot of people say that's stupid. It's a fad diet. They think it's dangerous and you'll have a heart attack. Well, I heard a doctor by the name of Dr. Ken Berry. He came and spoke at one of the Tennessee Firearms Association meetings here in West Tennessee. He's a doctor from Camden, Tennessee, who has a YouTube channel actually about the Carnivore Diet. And he came and spoke to us about it. And he's also someone that believes in firearms rights and the Second Amendment and freedom, and he's a conservative as well, which is why he came and spoke to the TFA. But anyway, I heard him speak, and the things he was saying made a lot of sense, because for the last 20 plus years I haven't eaten a lot of red meat, very little red meat. I didn't completely get rid of it out of my diet, but it was not that common. If I ate 2 hamburgers a year, that was something. I ate mostly turkey and chicken and fish. And the reason for that is because I had acid reflux really, really bad. I was diagnosed with that in about 2001, and it was severe. Now, I've been on Nexium ever since, which I'm now off of also after starting the Carnivore Diet. But it used to be that red meat, especially beef, would hurt my acid reflux. It would make it flare up something terrible. And so I just kind of didn't eat a lot of red meat for that reason. Even taking the Nexium, it could be bad. So when I went on the carnivore diet, I wasn't sure if eating meat would help acid reflux out at all. Surprise, it did. I stopped eating everything else, and now the meat doesn't bother me. And I'm not having to take the acid reflux medicine. So the fact is, I went to the cardiologist because I had calcium buildup in my heart, plaque in my heart, but I wasn't eating red meat, which is what they say causes it. Which sounds to me like maybe red meat's not the problem. And that's what Dr. Berry was saying. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. I've been doing everything the way they said to do it. Now I ate a little too much. But the diet I ate was basically what the cardiologist would tell you to eat, what doctors have all said to eat. And it didn't apparently work that well. Now, luckily, when I went to the cardiologist and they did the stress tests and the ultrasounds and the EKGs, everything came back normal. Everything was perfect. So even though I showed calcification in my heart, which was fairly severe, it doesn't seem to be affecting my heart's ability to function at all. And I'm having no symptoms whatsoever. It just was caught on an ultrasound I had done by a urologist and had to have it checked out. So anyway, I know I'm sharing a lot of information here, but just that's the kind of way I am. I'm an open book. I've always been that way. I don't worry about telling people things about me. I just never have. I'm not that private a person, I guess. Which I guess is why I have a YouTube channel. I guess if you're going to have a YouTube channel, it can't be too private of a person. So anyway, I heard Dr. Ken Berry speak about it, and I bought a book by a doctor named Paul Saladino. It's about carnivore diet. It's called The Carnivore Code, and I read that. Very interesting. So I said, well, I'm going to give it a try. Now, I take everything with a grain of salt. Just because I read it in a book or just because I heard this doctor at the TFA speak doesn't mean I just believe it automatically. But with my experience I already had, I said it's worth a shot. Let's see what happens. And so I tried this carnivore diet. Within 1 week, my diabetes went from being uncontrolled, even on the blood pressure, the blood sugar medicine, the metformin that I was taking, it was still not under control. It was still too high. And I was trying to eat low carb then, and it was still, I couldn't get it down. But I went full carnivore, and within 1 week, I was no longer on metformin. Blood sugar was back in normal range, and it's dropped even more now. I'm about 10, almost 11 weeks in now. And, Dr. Berry talked about a 90-day challenge. Do it for 90 days to see the real benefits of it. And I'm starting to see those benefits. I can't remember. It's probably been almost a month now since my blood sugar at any point has been over 100. And 100 to 120, post-meal is considered still normal. Fasting blood glucose should be below 100. But even after I've eaten, mine still hasn't even been 100. So my blood sugar has dropped drastically, and it's well within the normal range now. And my blood pressure dropped. My acid reflux is gone. And so it's done a lot of great things, as well as losing the weight, and that helps with all those things as well too. But the thing about losing the weight is it was not something I really had to try to do when I went on carnivore diet. Before I used to watch calories left and right. I used to be a health nut for a while when I was back in my 30s, which kind of got lost as I got a little bit older, but I still tried to eat fairly healthy, but I ate too much, obviously. But going on the carnivore diet, there was no need to count calories anymore. I had no need to worry about how much I eat because it just stops you from eating. It's the strangest thing to not be hungry ever. Not even want a snack ever, really. I mean, sometimes you get hungry and you're ready to eat and you eat something, but I don't have to worry about how much I eat. It's like it turns off your appetite when you've had enough. Kind of strange, but there's some science behind that, and Dr. Paul Saladino in his book talks about that. But it's true. I mean, I've always been one with a big appetite, and there's times now I just have no desire to eat. And sometimes it's even when I'm hungry. My stomach will be growling. I'll feel the hunger pains in my stomach and still don't want to eat anything. It's strange. Never been that way before, but ever since going on carnivore, that's the way it is now. And so losing weight is easy on the carnivore diet because I can eat as much as I want whenever I want. I just don't ever want to eat that much or that often. So, it's working really well. The only downside to the carnivore diet is starting on it, because the first month, 5 weeks maybe, I felt horrible. And I don't mean a little horrible. I mean, I felt terrible. Gut problems. I mean, sick at your stomach, going to the bathroom all the time. It messes your stomach up. You have no energy. I tried to go out and cut some trees that had fallen over and carry some of the logs off and all that, and I thought I was going to die because I got out there and just barely did anything, and I was out of breath and wore out. I couldn't do anything. And that was about the time as I was going and getting a lot of these tests done. I'm like, I'm about to have a heart attack and die. I've got heart disease. Well, it turns out I was just having what they call the keto flu, which is that lack of energy you get when you first switch over to a keto or a carnivore style diet, which is high in protein and fat and no carbohydrates, because your body has gotten so used to eating carbohydrates and fueling itself with carbohydrates because the standard American diet is just full of them. Most of our calories end up coming from them in the standard American diet, that getting rid of the carbohydrates, your body has to adapt. It has to change in order to be able to process the fat and use it for fuel, because it just doesn't do it very much because we eat so many carbohydrates. And so it takes a while for everything to adjust, for your stomach, for your gut to adjust. And then one day, just out of the blue, everything straightened itself out and I felt great. And I felt great ever since. So I'm not here telling you need to do carnivore diet. But if you're having issues with diabetes or different things, you're not able to do all the things that you love to do, and you're having to put your hobbies to the side because you just don't have the energy after work to do them, and your life is just not what it once was when you were a little younger, maybe it's worth a try for you. If it doesn't work, fine. I mean, there's people who say it didn't work for them, great. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. Find what does work. But it might be worth a try. I decided I'd give it the 90 days. I'm nearly there, and it's worked really well so far. The numbers I got when I went back to the doctor for my 3-month checkup after being diagnosed, doctor was quite astounded by how much my blood sugar had dropped. My A1C went from 8.9, I think it was, and it dropped to 5.4 in 3 months. So that's how much difference carnivore diet had made. And all my numbers came back. My cholesterol was still, my triglycerides were still too high. The cholesterol was fine still. My cholesterol's never been high. But my cholesterol was still in the normal range, although my HDL was too low. So I need my HDL to come up some more, and carnivore should do that. My triglycerides were still too high, and carnivore should bring that down some more. But overall, my numbers looked really good. And so I'm going to continue with carnivore for a while, and I'm going back to the doctor again in another 3 months or whatever, and we'll see what my blood work shows. And hopefully I'll be feeling even better then. And with all this new energy I've got, hopefully I can dedicate some of that to my YouTube channel and make gun videos again and enjoy life a little bit more than I was. So just thought I'd give you guys an update. I'm not gone. I'm still here. I haven't quit the channel. I just had to take a break for a while. And hopefully I'll have another video up here pretty soon, because I've still got to do the range video on that RXM, that Ruger. I did the tabletop, and then that's kind of right after that's where everything just went south, and it's been on a hold ever since. So I got the RXM right here still. I got to get her out there on the range once I get all the trees cut out of the way. And of course I got the old Glock 19 Gen 3 still to compare it with on the range. And we'll get that video up, and then I've got another gun coming up after that I hope will be interesting to everybody. And so I do have some plans going forward, but I appreciate you guys coming out. Before I go, would check out the description of the video there. There's some links there. The TFA, Tennessee Firearms Association, the GOA, the Gun Owners of America, There's a discount link there for a membership. But join those organizations. If TFA, if you live in Tennessee, or GOA, anywhere in the U.S., they work with every state. Get in the fight. They need your support. Obviously, they need money. Just the way it is. Politics requires money. But they also need your time and your effort as well if you're able to give some of that. And there's a link there for Weather Beard Supply Company, beard oil, beard care products. Been using them for about 2 years now. Still like the products. They're about to change a lot of things up. Some new fragrances. I think they're going completely to the essential oils now. So we'll see how some of those new scents and fragrances do. I can't wait to get some of them. But there's a link there for the Weather Beard Supply Company. Anyway, guys, appreciate you coming out. God bless you. Y'all take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.